Park 4 MX testing the 2019 model Suzuki RM-Z450, a bike that's relatively unchanged for this year, brought forward from the 2018 model, which was completely revamped from top to bottom. What we are seeing for 2019 is revised suspension settings and some bold new graphics. So, as we know, the big overdue birthday for the Suzuki was at the very start of 2018, and a lot of very cool upgrades this machine saw. We'll start with, at the front of the bike, completely scrapped the air forks, and we've gone with the 49mm Showa spring cartridge fork. I have to say though, suspension is very particular with your own valving that gets put into the bike, and what Suzuki have done for 2019, it seems to handle a lot better. It's a little bit plusher because last year's 2018 model, it was a little bit on the harsh side up front, and it didn't matter what you did with the clickers, you couldn't get it to work nice and plush. The motor on the Suzuki 450 for 2019, identical to last year's bike, and it's nice and smooth, nice and torquey. It's almost like a tractor where you can pull a taller gear, roll it on, and it's going to do whatever you want out on the track. Everything is nice, it works together, and it's a lot of fun to ride out there on the track. The bike does come stock with two different couplings that you can choose from to alter it from the stock setting. You can either go for a leaner setting or a richer setting, and what they put into the bike for me today was a richer setting, the richest of all of them for me to try out here. It was a little bit too rich, I must say. Got them to whack that stock one back in again, and it fixed it right up, cleaned it up off the bottom, made it a lot nicer, and it brought back that smooth power characteristic that everyone knows with the Suzuki. Now just quickly to touch on the rear suspension on this bike, and Suzuki have got something all new from last year that no one else is using. There's a balance-free resistance chamber. Now, how this works, it separates the compression from the rebound internally so they don't have an effect on each other. Now, none of the other production shocks out of any of the other manufacturers are using this. Now, Suzuki have made some big internal changes to the rear shock. It's still got that same system, however, they've manipulated the internal valving, they've mucked around with a few bits and pieces, and I must say, straight off the bat, it is working a lot better than last year's setup. Okay, now what would I change if this bike was in my garage and it was my bike of choice throughout the year? Now, first of all, I'd start with a little bit of a valving spec on the forks and the shock just to set it up individually for my riding style and my body weight, just so that it's nice and plush but it handles those big hits. Next, I'd try to revamp that motor and just bring it to life just a tad. It's an exceptionally smooth and tractable motor, and it's something that most riders will be able to hop on and ride no problem whatsoever straight away. But for me, I want to bring it to life a little bit, liven it up right off the bottom and give it a little bit more mid-range punch. And there's a number of ways you can do that. I'd also highly likely go up one tooth on that back sprocket, but by giving it a little bit more mid-range punch, we don't really care too much about top-end over-rev on a 450, because if you're riding these things properly, it shouldn't really see up that high too often. So just a little bit extra mid-range punch and this thing's going to be flying around the track. Chassis works nice, it does everything, it looks cool, I'm sure you all agree, no doubt. Other than that, not really too much to do. Unlike most manufacturers, they come out with pretty damn decent stock grips on the machine. The levers feel nice, the brakes work well, the clutch action works well. Just a couple of things I've mentioned. That's what I'd do if this was my machine. Well, that's a wrap here at Park 4 MX. I've had an absolute ball testing the 2019 Suzuki RM-Z450. Just as a special offer, the 2019 model is going to be released with a special limited edition Yoshimura exhaust system, so make sure you keep your eyes peeled for that. Thanks for joining us.